Good evening, welcome all of you. So, this evening we are going to have a brief discussion on thoughts and aphorisms. The topic of discussion will be on what have I to forgive and whom. So, this is a great topic. It is taken from aphorism number 22. That is a interesting line. Most of the times, Sri Aurobindo, of course, tries to explain in his aphorism Christians and Vaishnava. Two sects we know, the Christians and the Vaishnava. It is praised by this word. They praise forgiveness. So forgiveness, to forgive is divine, to err is human, and to forgive is divine. Already we know. Sri Aurobindo quotes here. Forgiveness is praised by the Christians and the Vaishnavas. Christian and Vaishnava, they praise the word forgiveness. But for me, Sri Aurobindo asks, but for me, I ask, what have I to forgive and whom? What have I to forgive and whom? The great master, the great creator, the great avatar, the great Mahayogi is asking, if this forgiveness is praised mostly by Christians and Vaishnavas, and but for me I ask, what have I to forgive and whom? So this is the point. Really, this is a great forgiveness, a great quality. Most of the time we aspire, we adore. Of course, we exclaim. But thing is that Sri Aurobindo quotes, "What have I to forgive and to whom?" Then again we can go to number 23. God struck me with a human hand. Very interesting. Suppose already another message we have seen. If better to wrestle with the God, because his touch is a fascination. So just it is a touch is a big thing for you. That is, God struck me with a human hand. Shall I say then I pardon thee thy insolence, O God? Is it expected? Suppose God is striking me. God struck me with the human hand, and after getting struck with the human hand of the God, shall I say him, I pardon thee thy insolence, O God? Is it possible at all? Is it expected at all? Is it a good word at all? So again we can go for 24. God gave me good in a blow. God gave me good in a blow, suppose. Shall I say, I forgive thee, O Almighty One, the harm and the cruelty, but do not do it not again. Is it expected? Because you know God, what is God and who is God, that also we must know. So beautiful, brilliant aphorism we can get from this explanation. So God gave me good in a blow. Shall I say, I forgive thee, O Almighty One, the harm and the cruelty, but do it not again. Don't repeat it again. Is it expected at all? So shall I go on and God? Suppose they have given me a cruel blow. God given a human hand, he has struck me, or given me a blow in his hand. Shall I go? Don't do it. And oh, I forgive you, O Almighty One, the harm and the cruelty that you have done. So do it not again. Again. When I pine at misfortune and call it evil. Very interestingly, again I want to repeat it. When I pine at misfortune and call it evil, and am jealous and disappointed, then I know that there is a awake in me again the eternal fool. So the thing to be considered again and again, when I pine at misfortune and call it evil, pine at misfortune and call it evil, or am jealous and disappointed, then I know that there is a awake in me again the eternal fool. So eternal fool that I awake, it is awake in me. When I see others suffer, suppose that is the situation. Most of the time we face people are suffering and I suffer. When I see others suffer, I feel that I am unfortunate. But the wisdom that is not mine sees the God that is coming and approves. So, arrival gods, just imagine, I will tell it again. When I see others suffer, it is the expected question, but here in the course, it is the question for him. I feel that I am unfortunate because I see them suffer. It is unfortunate. But the wisdom that is not mine, really, that wisdom is not mine, sees the good that is coming and approves. Sees the good that is coming and approves. Again, Sir Philip Sidney said of a criminal. Sir Philip Sidney, the great name, said of the criminal laid out to be hanged. The criminal going to be hanged, then Sir Philip Sidney, it is said so. There, but for the grace of God's goes Sir Philip Sidney. But for the grace of God goes to Sir Philip Sidney, wiser had she said, there by the grace of God goes Sir Philip Sidney. Said of the criminal laid out to be hanged, there but for grace of God goes Sir Philip Sidney. Wiser had he said, there by the grace of God goes Sir Philip Sidney. Again, God is great and cruel torturer. Most of the time we claim, we complain, we sometimes we do go like that way. It is of course aphorism 28. God is a great and cruel torturer. Great torturer and cruel torturer because he loves. Oh, you don't understand this because we feel, we complain, we most of the time actually we hang him, we take him into the that bar because he is a cruel, great and cruel torturer. You don't understand this because you have not seen and played with a Krishna. If you can't make God your friend, you try to wrestle him with him, because it is also a great significance. There you will find the great significance here. God is the great and cruel torturer because he loves. You don't understand this. You can't understand. You don't understand because you have not seen and played with Krishna. Had you but played and seen Krishna, this complaint would never be in your part. You must not have complained at any point of time. Again, after we can, one called Napoleon a tyrant and imperial cutthroat. That is aphorism number 29. One called Napoleon a tyrant and imperial cutthroat, but I saw God armed striding through Europe. So that already we see everything in our vision, in our human vision. But thing is that Lord is seeing opposite or in other ways. One called Napoleon a tyrant and imperial cutthroat. It is there. We see, we have heard while going through world history. But I saw God, I saw, here in the course, I saw God armed striding through Europe. It is God's arm, it is striding through Europe, but not, we have seen Napoleon, but not the face of the God. I have forgotten that vice is and what virtue. What vice is and what virtue. I have forgotten. Not remember what vice is and what is virtue. Simply, I can only see God, His play in the world and His will in the humanity. That's what I see. Nothing vice, nothing virtue. Everything is His will, His intention. It is His lila. That's what Sri Aurobindo, I will try to quote. It is number 30. That is a big thing. I have forgotten what the vice is and what virtue. That's what I have forgotten. Then what you have remembered? I can only say God. See God, His play in the world and His will in humanity. That is what I see, I appreciate. That is what. Then we can go further, because Sri Aurobindo has quoted in Savitri, the world is God fulfilled in outwardness. Wherever you see, beauty is His footprint showing us where He has passed. Beauty is His footprint showing us where He has passed. Love, His heartbeats rhythm in mortal breast. Happiness, His smile upon the adorable face. So everything is God. Everything emerges from God. Everything ends in God. Everything is God. And most of the time, when somebody is in spiritual track, treading the spiritual track, things are that only thing is true for him is the divine. Then we can go. I saw a child wallowing in the dirt. I saw, it is number 31. I saw a child wallowing in the dirt, and the same child cleaned by his mother and resplendent. But each time I trembled before his utter purity. I trembled before his utter purity. Very interesting. I saw a child wallowing in dirt, and the same child cleaned by his mother and resplendent. Cleaned and resplendent, because he was wallowing in dirt. But each time I trembled before his utter purity. That's what utter purity. That's what I tremble before him. So you have to be even if you are in dirt, then mother is there to purify and make you resplendent. That is what the great thing. Your purity is on the way. What I wished or thought to be the right thing, what I wished or thought to be is right thing, does not come about. Therefore, it is clear that there is no all-wise one who guides the world, but only blind chance or a brute casualty. So, what I wished or thought to be is the right thing. What I wished, that is right thing. What I thought to be, that is also right thing. Does not come about right thing, but does not come about. Therefore, it is clear that there is no all-wise one who guides the world, but only blind chance or brute causality. So, causality, brute causality. So, because if it is divine will, that will happen. It is on our part, we have to make only some suggestions. But thing is that my suggestion will be fulfilled. That is not in my hand, because God knows better what is better for me and what is worse. So He has to sanction my duty. I have to make the thing clear, and I have to put my complaint before Him. By need, I must keep before Him. That is what I can do. The aesthete is God. The aesthete is God playing hide and seek with himself. Just imagine. Aesthetic, atheist is God playing at hide and seek with himself, but the theist is an theist is but is the theist any other? Well, perhaps for he has seen the shadow of God and clutched at it. That is what the difference between atheist and theist is here in the course. The atheist is God. Atheist is God playing at hide and seek with himself, but is the theist any other? Well, perhaps for he has seen the shadow of God and clutched at it, not the real God. That is what. O human, O thou who lovest, it is number 34. 34, we are in the passage at the 34. O thou who lovest, strike. O thou that lovest, strike. If thou strike me not now, I shall know that thou lovest me not. Because thy strike right now is a great boon for me. It bears a great significance really. O thou who lovest, strike. If thou strike me not now, I shall know that thou lovest me not at all. Then number 35. So just imagine, be ready to play with Krishna, to get the struck from the God, and of course it is a great significance. It is a great boon for you. O misfortune, blessed be thou. O misfortune, blessed be thou. For through thee I have seen the face of my lover. If there was no misfortune, I must not have seen the face of my beloved, my lover. Blessed be thou, for through thee I have seen the face of my lover. Just imagine, misfortune has brought me close the face of my lover. I can remember, I can of course behold him. But thing is that how gracious, how blissful is the hand of this misfortune. But we don't remember, we don't recall at all. Then again 36. Men are still in love with grief, unseen ignorance, still in the course. Man is still in love with his ancient ignorance. Men are still in love with grief when they see one who is high for grief or joy. They curse him and cry, "O thou insensible!" Therefore, Christ is still hangs on the cross in Jerusalem. Again, you just see, I'll try to quote it again. Men are still in love with grief when they see one who is high for grief and joy. High for grief and joy, if something is sin, somebody is sin, they curse him and cry, "O thou insensible!" Therefore, Christ still hangs on the cross in Jerusalem. That's what we have seen. That is a great thing. So again, men are in love with sin. Initially, it was love with grief. Now, here in the course, love with sin. When they see one who is too high for vice and virtue, there it was too high for grief and joy, vice or virtue, who is too high. They curse him and cry, "O thou breakest the bonds, thou wicked and immortal one." That is what the characteristic of the human being. Therefore, Sri Krishna does not live as yet in Vrindavan. So, Christ and Sri Krishna. That is a good comparison here. Again, I will try to quote both 36 and 37. Men are still in love with grief. When they see one who is high for grief and joy, they curse him and cry, "O thou insensible! O thou insensible!" Therefore, Christ still hangs on the cross at Jerusalem. Again, second thing, it is about Krishna, Sri Krishna. So men are in love with sin when they see one who is too high for virtue and vice. They curse him and cry, "Oh, thou breaker of bonds, thou wicked and immoral one, wicked and immoral one." Therefore, Krishna does not live as yet in Vrindavan. Again, we are going for again one beautiful aphorism on Krishna. That's what Sri Aurobindo. Already we know Sri Krishna was guided by Sri Aurobindo was guided by Sri Krishna, and mother, mother told Krishna is my son. Sri Aurobindo quoted, mother is the mother of Krishna. Sri Krishna's own expectation, one explanation, he was Sri Krishna in the previous birth, like this. And already Sri Krishna already, as per Sri Aurobindo, he has come to the ashram, he is guiding, taking care of himself. Sarva Vasudeva Maya, everything you saw. Another aphorism we can take on Krishna beautifully. That is, some say Krishna never lived. It is a myth. Naturally, human tendency. Men forget. Even sometimes they will forget his father was there or not. That is also a question. So some say Krishna never lived, as he is a myth. They mean on earth, as if Vrindavan existed nowhere. The Bhagavat could not have been written. So just imagine how men take the things other way. They feel Krishna never lived, he was a myth. They mean on earth, as for if Vrindavan existed nowhere, the Bhagavata could not have been written for the absence of them. So this is the truth that Sri Aurobindo tries to quote before us. Again, we are going for the next aphorism, that is number 39. Strange. The Germans have disproved the existence. Strange. The Germans have disproved the existence of Christ. Like, Krishna and Christ, we know. Krishna, after describing Krishna, Sri Aurobindo goes to Christ. Strange. Germans have disproved the existence of Christ. Yet, this crucifixion remains still a greater historic fact than the death of Caesar. Sri Aurobindo clarifies, characteristically tries to confirm it. Yet his crucifixion of Jesus remains still a greater historic fact than the death of Caesar. Finally, on this point of discussion, we are going for the final one. Sometimes one is led to think that only those things really matter which have never happened. Another aphorism, and it is also another touching sentence. Sometimes one is led to think that only those things really matter which have never happened, but beside them, most heroic achievements seem almost pale and ineffective. That's what. You can go in another way. Sometimes one is led to think that only those things really matter which have never happened. But besides them, most historic achievements seem almost pale and ineffective, excluding those one. Anyway, it is our time. It is the will as we expect. We have to have a stop here because later we'll go for the next aphorism, and these things we are going, you almost you know, this is on Jnana. It is taken from thirds and aphorisms by Sri Aurobindo. That glorious description, unbelievable, incredulous, definitely there is, it is no doubt of it. And sometimes here, just when we are discussing about God, Krishna, Christ, existence, Bhagavat, so many interesting lines, I think everything will be pleasing to you. Thank you. Vande Mataram.